Hey, and welcome to 3 Takeaways, our agency new business video series where we focus on one new business category and give you 3 takeaways to help improve your new business program. So I'm Lee McKnight Jr. I'm the VP of Sales at RSW US. And speaking to all of you watching, I know you get at least an email a day from lead gen companies and companies selling lists. So to set the table for our 3 takeaways coming up, as far as a selling philosophy, our new business directors at RSW operate on principles of polite persistence, consistency, and reaching out with value. So we strive to avoid overly aggressive reach outs, and generic messaging, and really the occasional tricks, for lack of a better word, we see other salespeople use. Now, I say all this not as a commercial for us, by the way, but I mention it because agencies, PR firms, services firms consistently tell us about the ineffective reach outs and emails they get. Yet if they're handling new business internally, often they're using the same ineffective techniques and they're not even realizing it, or at least they're not thinking about it. Now, interestingly, emails and voicemails from salespeople used to be a lot, for lack of a better word again, sneakier. Where these salespeople, and I use that term loosely, would try to trick you into opening an email, essentially. So one example, and from only about 5 years ago, several of us here at RSW attended a sales seminar in town and were quickly immersed in a sales theater of the absurd. A supposed sales guru gave advice that became really more and more ridiculous. For example, he recommended, no lie, that when you're leaving a voicemail, try saying, "Hi Jim, Lee McKnight at 513-555-8722. I had your test results and wanted to," and then purposely hang up so your message is cut off when he listens to it. Now, apparently the desired result being they would call you back, but he never really defined, what you would do at that point with the prospect other than he or she being really pissed with you. Okay, so, and that's a ridiculous example, although absolutely true that it happened. But as I said, not even from that long ago. So let's go more recent. Salespeople, even a year or two ago, still being kind of tricky. And a few other examples I'm sure you've all experienced at one time or another. The subject line has urgent in it, a definitive kind of cry wolf tactic. And then along the same lines, ASAP in the subject line. And again, it's like using urgent. It implies a false sense of urgency, which will only make your prospects want to really bludgeon you. Or how about, repeatedly calling from different numbers, where you can program it in. That used to be a thing. But fast forward to today, and by and large, salespeople, they really don't use those sneaky tactics like they used to anyway. And there are other tactics, though, that fall under that same kind of don't go there umbrella. And that's the focus of the 3 takeaways today. So here's the first one: apologizing in an email. And specifically within a sales context. Not when an apology may actually be warranted. Where you see this occur is usually several emails in to a prospect where you've gotten no response, and it usually reads something like, "Sorry to bother you, but," or some variation of that. Don't do this for 2 reasons. One, it puts you in a position of weakness. And it's really, when you're doing that, it's used not as a true apology, but for the prospect to kind of feel sorry or empathetic towards you, which it rarely does. So secondly, and more importantly, if you truly feel like you need to apologize at that point, when you have yet to even have an interaction with the prospect, you're doing something wrong. Okay, second takeaway: sending too many emails. And look, this may seem obvious, but I see it often. There's some weird internal drive for some new business people where they feel like if their first 3 emails haven't been answered, sending 2 or 3 more in fairly quick succession, that should do the trick. No. Thinking you should send more emails in that scenario dictates instead you should be using other platforms or channels, not doubling down on more emails. So your third takeaway: jumping the gun on LinkedIn. Look, we've touched on this in a past video, you can see here. Now, it's happening more and more though today. Almost every day now, I get a connection request from someone who wants to sell me something. As you might imagine, I've stopped accepting those kinds of connection requests. But even ones that looked fairly valid or seemed to make sense given the industry that we work in, those turn into an immediate cold sale as soon as I accept it. And what's sad is really none of those individuals did any kind of homework to see if we were an actual fit. After that LinkedIn connection request is accepted, don't make your first message a sale. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching 3 Takeaways. Lots of new business content on our resources page at the URL below. And if you don't know us, RSW is an outsourced business development firm. And for 13 years, we've helped agencies and services firms get in the door and ultimately close business. So you can find more at rswus.com, and you can subscribe to this channel. Love for you to do that right here. So thanks, and we'll see you next time.